Colorado's mountain paradise is crumbling. Right now, 10 of the state's most iconic resort towns are watching their economies implode in real time. We're talking about places that saw home prices double in just 5 years, where workers are sleeping in their cars, and where tourists are simply staying away. Before we dive into which towns are collapsing and why, hit that subscribe button because this situation is evolving fast, and you'll want to stay updated on what's really happening in America's Mountain West. The numbers tell a brutal story. For the first time since the pandemic, Colorado's mountain tourism is in freefall. Hotel bookings are down. Short-term rentals are getting crushed with a 10% drop in the first quarter of 2025 alone. And the towns that became millionaire playgrounds are now economic disaster zones. The workers who kept these places running have been priced out. The tourists who funded everything are going elsewhere. And the wealthy second homeowners who drove prices through the roof, they're starting to realize they overpaid for a dream that's turning into a nightmare. Number 10, Breckenridge. Yeah, you heard that right. Breckenridge, the crown jewel of Summit County, is in serious trouble. Summer bookings collapsed by 16% this year. July, traditionally the biggest moneymaker, saw tourism tank by the same amount. The Breckenridge Tourism Office literally opened its presentation with a cartoon of a little girl dragging a deflating balloon labeled confidence. That should tell you everything. Consumer confidence has dropped to pandemic levels, and people just aren't coming like they used to. The median home price has already fallen 10% from its peak. And here's the kicker. The town's population dropped from over 5,000 in 2020 to under 4,900 today. People are leaving. The locals who made Breckenridge what it is are packing up and heading out. The ski shops, the restaurants, the tour companies, they're all struggling to find workers because nobody can afford to live there anymore. And now the tourists are noticing. When your favorite coffee shop closes because they can't staff it, or your go-to rental shop has reduced hours, the charm disappears fast. But that wasn't the whole story. Number 9, Silverthorne, Breckenridge's neighbor, and it's even worse. Sales tax revenue plummeted 5% in 2025, with January collections down 8% year over year. The town had to slash millions from its budget. A planned police station? Shelved indefinitely. Sidewalk projects? Canceled. Parks maintenance? Cut to the bone. Real estate prices are falling because here's the reality. Silverthorne isn't actually a ski town. It's adjacent to ski towns. With traffic, which is constant on Interstate 70, it can take well over an hour to get to real skiing. When mortgage rates shot up from 3% to 7% practically overnight, buyers woke up and realized they were paying mountain prices for a place that's basically just close to the mountains. The affordable housing that made Silverthorne attractive in the first place, now it's a trap. People bought in during the pandemic, thinking they scored a good deal on mountain living. Now they're underwater on their mortgages and can't sell without taking a massive loss. The outlets that were supposed to drive tourism, they're half empty. Nobody's driving up from Denver to shop at an outlet mall when they can order the same stuff online. And what happened next would shock everyone. Number 8, Winter Park, Fraser, and Granby. We're counting these as one because they're all part of the same regional disaster. Granby's sales tax dropped over 2% in 2024. Real estate prices are in freefall. The problem? Same as Silverthorne, but worse. These places marketed themselves hard as affordable alternatives to the real ski towns, but they're just too far from actual skiing. Winter Park Resort is over an hour away from Granby with normal traffic. During peak season, forget about it. You're looking at 90 minutes each way. When you're paying $500,000 for a condo but getting a long commute to skiing, that's mediocre compared to Vail or Aspen. The math stops making sense fast. Mortgage rate hikes hit these affordable areas way harder because, unlike Aspen or Vail buyers who often pay cash, These buyers actually need loans. When rates tripled, demand evaporated like snow in July. Now you've got people who bought at the peak trying desperately to sell, and there are no buyers. The dream of affordable mountain living died when people realized affordable meant compromise on everything that makes mountain living worth it. Number 7. Steamboat Springs. This is where things get personal. This town is facing an all-out housing catastrophe that's ripping families apart in real time. In March 2024, voters rejected the Brown Ranch Affordable Housing Project. That single decision sealed the fate of hundreds of working families. The Hernandez family moved to Steamboat in 2022 with their 1-year-old daughter, chasing the mountain dream we've all seen on Instagram. Less than 3 years later, they packed up everything and left, calling it a survival of the fittest contest they couldn't win. And they weren't alone. Workers are literally camping on public land every summer because they can't afford anywhere else to live. 8 people crammed into 2-bedroom trailers. Others pay $600 to $700 a month to sleep on a cot in someone's laundry room. Think about that. Teachers, firefighters, cops, ski patrol, all the people who make a mountain town actually function are getting priced out while million-dollar homes sit empty half the year. The local elementary school is losing students because families can't afford to stay. Businesses are cutting hours because they can't find staff. This isn't just an economic problem. It's a community being torn apart by greed and short-sighted policy. But there was more darkness brewing. Number 6. Vail. Yes, even Vail. Despite its reputation for ultra-luxury and billion-dollar development, housing prices are dropping. The pandemic brought a flood of wealthy buyers panic purchasing second homes, convinced that remote work meant they could live anywhere. That wave has crashed hard. Short-term rental regulations passed in 2023 have squeezed the market, making it harder to profit from investment properties. And properties outside the core Vail Village area? They're losing value fast. International visitors, who used to make up a huge chunk of Vail's high-spending tourism demographic, are disappearing. Colorado's share of domestic tourists fell from 2.1% in 2019 to just 1.8% last year. That might not sound like much, but when you're competing with every other ski destination in North America, losing market share is a death sentence. Vail is losing the competition for tourist dollars, and when you've built your entire economy around 8-figure chalets and $300 lift tickets, that's a serious problem. The wealthy are realizing they overpaid for status symbols that are rapidly losing their appeal. The data revealed something even more disturbing. Number 5. Georgetown. This town proves that tourist traffic doesn't equal tourist money. This historic mountain town gets absolutely slammed during leaf peeping season. The sheriff's office has to physically block access to Guanella Pass because of traffic jams. Thousands upon thousands of people flood in to see the Aspens turn gold. And you know what happens? Businesses see zero sales bump. Nothing. Not a dime. These are day trippers who spend an average of $105 total, compared to the $594 that overnight visitors spend. They drive up Interstate 70 from Denver, take their Instagram photos, clog the roads for hours, and leave without spending a dime locally. They bring their own snacks. They don't eat at restaurants. They don't shop. They just extract the scenic value and bounce. Georgetown is literally drowning in traffic but starving for revenue. The town can't afford to maintain its infrastructure because the tax base has been obliterated by second homes sitting empty. And the tourists who do show up contribute nothing. It's the worst of both worlds.
Number 4. Crested Butte. This gets into the real existential crisis. This town is fighting for its soul and losing badly. Home prices have exploded by 300% in recent decades. Just 4 years ago, Crested Butte didn't have any million-dollar homes for sale. Not one. Last year, $63 million plus transactions. The town actually created something called the Community Compass, basically a manifesto to avoid becoming another Aspen or Telluride. But it might be too late. Year-round occupancy is only 2/3, meaning 1/3 of all homes in Crested Butte sit empty most of the year. Wealthy developers are buying up historic downtown buildings and opening restaurants where the cheapest entree is $55, while locals who've been there for decades, who built the town's reputation as the last great Colorado ski town, are getting priced out. Teachers are commuting an hour each way. Ski Patrol lives in Gunnison. The charm and authenticity that made Crested Butte special in the first place is being systematically killed by the very money flooding in to preserve it. It's a tragedy playing out in slow motion. Things were about to get worse. Number 3. Telluride. This town is in open warfare with its own ski resort. Owner Chuck Horning, who promised economic development and community preservation when he bought the resort back in 2005, is now threatening to delay the entire ski season over water rate disputes with Mountain Village. The town wants to triple water rates for snowmaking. Horning's company is balking, saying it'll devastate their business model. Meanwhile, real estate sales have slowed dramatically. The market is stabilizing, which is realtor speak for declining. Homes over $10 million are sitting on the market for months. The ultra-wealthy aren't buying like they used to, and Telluride's economy is built entirely on them showing up with unlimited checkbooks. When the billionaires stop bidding up properties, the whole house of cards collapses. The investigation uncovered something no one wanted to admit. Number 2. Leadville. This one's different because Leadville never became a luxury resort, and that's exactly the problem. The town sits on a Superfund site with 694 gallons of contaminated mine water flowing out every single minute. Workers who service the wealthy towns down the valley live in trailer parks with poisoned water. Housing is substandard, barely meeting code. This is what happens when a mountain town doesn't attract the wealthy investors. It just slowly dies from its own toxic legacy. Mining waste piles loom over everything, leaching arsenic, lead, and cadmium into the water supply. The American dream never made it to Leadville. It's what Colorado's other mountain towns would look like if the rich people hadn't shown up. And honestly, it's not clear which fate is worse. At least Leadville still has a soul, even if that soul is poisoned. And finally, the big one. Number 1. Aspen. This is the cautionary tale that haunts every other town on this list. Yeah, Aspen tops this list not because it's failing financially, but because it represents the ultimate endgame of this whole disaster. A community leader literally said Aspen is in crisis right now at a 2024 housing panel. There are 43 homes on the market for over $10 million. 19 listings exceed $15 million. 9 are over $20 million. The housing market for normal humans is completely obliterated. A 4-bedroom townhome costs over $16 million. $16 million for a townhome. Essential workers can't live within an hour of their jobs. The town has become a museum of wealth that only functions because workers commute from Leadville an hour each way every single day. Aspen isn't a community anymore. It's a luxury product, a theme park for billionaires. And every other town on this list is racing to become exactly that, not realizing they're sprinting toward their own destruction. Here's what nobody's talking about. This isn't just a housing crisis or a tourism slump. This is a complete economic model collapsing in real time. These towns doubled their home prices between 2019 and 2024. They systematically pushed out the working class. They taxed and regulated short-term rentals, thinking it would magically fix housing affordability, but it just drove away the budget-conscious tourists who actually spent money at local businesses. Now they're left with empty investment properties owned by people in Texas and California, workers who commuted from 50 miles away, quitting because gas costs too much, and tourists who decided Jackson Hole or Park City or Tahoe offer better value for their money. The mountain dream died the moment it became unaffordable for the people who made it work. These 10 towns created their own disaster. They confused wealth accumulation with prosperity. They thought million-dollar condos and $50 steaks were signs of success, when really they were symptoms of a community eating itself alive. The boom turned into a trap. The paradise became a prison. And now, as the tourists stay home and the workers move away, these towns are learning a brutal lesson. You can't build an economy on inequality and call it sustainable. The freefall has only just begun.